Hey everybody, it's me Carlitos here again, and I know it's been 2 months since I posted my last review. Sorry about that, but it seems my schedule's got the best of me over the summer and I just couldn't do this anymore. Fortunately though, I now have time again, so I started doing them again. And today, here we start with Gamer.
This is not something you can control.
Gamer is a movie set in a futuristic world where gamers are no longer restricted to virtual reality. Now gamers have the opportunity to take over an actual individual's body and take him into real combat to be in the latest show called Slayers. And here's we follow Cable, the latest superstar in this world, who's been through over 27 battles and is 3 battles away from reaching 30, which will set him free from death row. Of course, with a mega superstar like that, who wants to let him go? And that's when things get a little complicated. As we find out, Cable is an innocent man on death row and fights and is fighting to get out. I mean, that's the basic gist of the movie. I mean, the actual storyline is very mainstream from there. You know, of course, Cable gets free and he saves his family who's in danger. But the nice thing about the movie is, although it has a mainstream story to it, all the subtext of the film is not so mainstream, and it's very great to see. The great thing about this movie is that the writers weren't restricted by a simplistic story. Instead, they used it to their advantage to get the audience's attention and to present their commentary about video games in the future. As anybody who plays PlayStation knows, a PlayStation Home, where people take over avatars and go to this virtual world and they just meet people. In this one, they take it a step further, where people actually take over the minds of actual human beings and set them just the same way as just the PlayStation Home does. But instead of people actually just hanging out doing fun things, they start doing real perverse acts and start killing one another. And this is some great commentary about the future of video games and how now if people could control somebody else, they would just do the most devious and depraved things to one another. It's pretty interesting little concept, pretty interesting thing to push. At the same time, the movie presents commentary about how slowly we're becoming desensitized to cinematic violence and about how in the future we don't want to see that fake violence anymore. The only thing that'll give us that same thrill will be seeing actual violence being done on TV. This is something that's been pushed before in other movies, but not done as well as this one, because suddenly in this movie, when people actually get killed on TV by Cable, you have people in different countries cheering him on, and they suddenly have no care, no respect for these individuals on screen being slaughtered. And the movie makes no attempts to hide the fact that this is an idea that's been pushed by other movies before, as it references snooverse films like Minority Report and the big one being Running Man. This movie is very comparable to Running Man, and it makes no attempts to hide that fact. But what it does different from Running Man is that it combines the style of Taylor and Neveldon, which we all know made Crank 1 and 2. Now, the guys have their own style, so I will warn you all that the movie does contain a lot of nudity and a lot of grotesque things going on, because that's what the writers write, that's what they like to do. Now, Neveldon and Taylor have their own speed freak style, full of nudity and violence that references grindhouse films in a way. So I do warn you all out there that this is a movie that, if you're kind of like icky about nudity and some violence, don't want to see this. But then again, if you've seen the trailer, you know what to expect. This is a movie I really suggest to take your kids for, I'll tell you that right now. As the movie features brutal violence, and one scene is where a body gets completely exploded and pops and throws body parts everywhere. It's pretty intense. Especially Neveldon and Taylor's cinematography, which they've done actually in Crank 2 a lot more than this one, which is where they put a camera on Neveldon, I think, or is it Taylor? I'm not sure which one, but one of them gets the camera on a Steadicam, gets on rollerblades, and is able to slide under next to the actor as he runs or is on a car. It's very good cinematography, and I really applaud it. I really hope to see more of it in the future. Now, that's for behind the camera. In front of the camera, we have, of course, Gerard Butler, Kyra Sedgwick, Chris Bridges even has a cameo in the movie. And the movie also features Michael Hall, who we all know from a big show called Dexter, and yes, he's awesome as this one, as he is on the show, as a psychotic lunatic looking for control of the world. And he's kind of like the weird sociopath who's incredibly smart but ruthless, and he's really great here. Basically, he brings Dexter out of the Dex world into the gamer world, and it's pretty great, and you guys will love him if you're a big fan of Michael Hall. Now, the main one, of course, is Gerard Butler, and he does very well in the role of Cable, pretty well. It's kind of like the old one where he does the old school, like, 80s kind of role, where of course the main character doesn't talk too much, he just does his thing. It's really good though, but at the same time he's able to add some sympathy to the role that is pretty hard to add to a character to a character that doesn't really say much. That's a pretty hard thing to do, and Gerard Butler is able to do that. It's pretty great because as an actor he's come a long way from Dracula 2000. Let's put it that way. A long, long way from that. So let's wrap things up and I'll just give my review, which I say is a 7 out of 10. Now, although like I said all these positive things about the movie, the main thing wrong with the movie is that the movie was very thought out for 90% of it. I mean, from the beginning, the middle, it's intense, it's awesome, it's great. However, the ending of the movie is very anticlimactic, and clearly you could tell Neville and Taylor didn't really know how to end the film, or they should have waited on probably writing it or wrote a different ending altogether, somehow just thought of a better ending. Because it's the one stud of the whole movie and just leaves you kind of empty and you're like, what? That's it? It kind of sucks. So, like, I really recommend this movie for gamers out there. Gamers, you'll love this movie. If you're a big fan of Crank 2 especially, I definitely recommend the movie if you're a fan of Neville and Taylor. However, if you're looking for like a date movie, you want to steer clear of this one. You don't want this one. Or if you're like really prone, like not so much for violence, don't watch this movie either. But if you're looking for a good action flick, some commentary, this is definitely one of those to check out. You know, it's either hit or miss if you're not in the game, if you're not a gamer or you're not an action movie fan. So be aware of that. Well, that's my review, guys. All right, gamer, 7 out of 10. This is Carlitos signing off, saying, "Your mind is mine, boy." See you.
Gamer. This is not something you can control.